Welcome to the 10-day growth hacking challenge with your host, Nader Sabri. This challenge is 3 growth hacks in 10 days to 10x your business. And today we've got Richard, who is hacking wellness and personal performance. He's got some amazing things he's doing. He has a secret super boosting growth hack, which we will not tell you about now. It will come in the future. But until then, he's building his foundation to build the growth that he's going to be working on. Today, we're covering growth hack number 1. And growth hack number 1 is about automating the experience and the journey of onboarding and managing his existing clients. So what we're going to look at today is that we're going to hand it over to Richard. He discussed some tools last time, and he is going to talk about how that has worked out, what he's experimented with, what hasn't worked, what his next steps are, and we go from there. Richard, how is growth hack number 1? For those tuning in, if you can just remind them what growth hack number 1 is and what you've experienced so far.
For sure. So my growth hack number 1 is tooling. So improving my tools, my systemization, and my technology usage. So it's automating client scheduling and payment for my current and any prospective clients that I have in my funnel or are being onboarded. So when we talked last time, and this was after the initial meeting, I came to you with an issue, right? And the issue was, okay, there's so many apps and there's so many tools out that I get a little bogged down, or maybe like analysis paralysis, because I don't know which to go with. And then I spent too much time kind of analyzing it. And then you gave me a great kind of tip, a great like structure to kind of fine tune that and just keep it moving, keep the action moving. So I think if you could just elaborate on that 20 minute kind of tool real quick, I think it would be great for anybody that's in the same boat as me.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's thank you for sharing that, because I think it's important for people to know. So we call the 20-minute tool test, and the 20-minute tool test is if you have, like, let's say 3-4 different tools that are similar or very close to each other, but you don't know which one is the best one for to use. What we do is we go for 20 minutes only on each tool. And if we're able to get to the most basic functionality to get going to use that tool for what you plan to use it for, then that's probably a good tool to go with. So we have instances where we see, a rank of like 3 tools, and rank number 3, which would be, obviously a little less popular than 1 or 2, is a lot easier, because in 20 minutes, we're able to actually get a result, even if it's just a minimal result. It's not about doing the whole thing. So what that does is it gets you kicked off, and you know which tool to use in 20 minutes. So if you're able to do that, then you know where to work with, and then you kind of build on it from there. The issue is that, as Richard had in the beginning, is like there's too many tools that do too many things, and sometimes they sound similar, but they're not necessarily similar. So you got to put it in that 20-minute test. You got to know what you want. Once you know what you want, you go in, implement it. If in 20 minutes it works, green light. If in 20 minutes you can't figure it out and it's too complex, throw it out. That doesn't pass the test.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a great benefit to me, a great help, because I was like, all right, cool. That sounds simple enough. So you suggested going into and kind of researching this app Calendarly. So I was like, all right, cool. Let me go for it. So I was researching, I was doing it. They had the free trial, which was another like stipulation. If they have a free trial, then awesome. If it's automatically paid and you can't even test it out, then don't even bother with it at the moment. So I was like, all right, cool. Let me hop into the free trial. Let me test it out a little bit, see how it works. And I loved it, because just from right off the bat, I'm able to streamline the onboarding service. So people that are interested in me and what I do, I have two real main services that I provide at the moment, just fitness coaching and life coaching. So with Calendarly, I'm able to say, hey, would you like to talk about fitness coaching in your initial consultation, or would you like to talk about life coaching in your initial consultation? And then from there, I could stipulate what topics are going to be talked about. So that way I go into the conversation already kind of locked and loaded. The prospect is locked and loaded, and we could kind of just streamline the whole conversation. And that is a big jump from where I'm coming from before, because everything was all just written emails. Hey, just doing it over and over again. And it's a big help just right away. So I'm working on it, and I'm happy with it.
Good. And I just want to point out to those who are tuning in, I mean, what Richard has just discussed is managing expectations. And when people know what to expect in a process that they have no idea about, the comfort level goes up and the friction levels go down, and it creates a much better experience. So if I have a 15-minute call that I offer for free for my service, and in those 15 minutes, we're going to cover 3 to 5 points, and there's a time to each one of them, and it's very clear. and having some presets that people can prepare within those 15 minutes. So sending them to a Google form and be like, in this form, be like, okay, here's what we're going to cover in this call. Can you please provide the following information? And you don't overdo it. I mean, don't create more friction in that process. Just keep it really simple so that when you get on that call, I mean, you're prepared, right? If it's simple as getting their bio or getting a link to their LinkedIn or website, just gives you an idea of just a background of who that individual is. Or you do an assessment to know what the problem is. I mean, 3-4 simple questions. And so when you get on that call, you're super, super focused. And I've done this with a lot of professional services businesses that where that first initial call is basically the trigger for everything else that comes next. And in that call, usually so the number one goal is chemistry, right? How do you get to know them and how do they get to know you? Because if the chemistry is there, then the process becomes secondary, however you do it. If the chemistry is not there and people rely just on the process and the output, you're going to have friction later in the relationship. So this is one of the most important parts right at the beginning. And I've had situations where people know they're a little bit difficult to deal with and they kind of lay out their bias at the very beginning of an interaction, which just lowers the friction. Be like, hey, I'm like a super intense guy and I'm all about, accountability, for example. And I've had this happen to me. I had a life coach who was more on the accountability side rather than inviting me to motivate myself to do it. And so I work better with a life coach that motivates me to go do it because I'm self-motivated versus a life coach who does the accountability part. Now, yes, you need that accountability once in a while, but if that coach had told me that in advance, I would have known or at least communicated my expectations. So super, super important what you're talking about. So keep going. What's next? I mean, what has happened with this test? How did that test work out? I think you've already experimented directly on existing clients, right? So why don't you give us some insight into your direct live experiments?
So I'm currently in the process of onboarding. It's about three or four new clients. So this happened last week. So everything's just kind of coming together. So I'm able to actively. I'm in the experiment at the moment. So I have people later on this week that I signed on. There's 2 people that are still in the funnel, but I haven't scheduled them yet. So all these people are just like prime targets, I guess you could say, to just use this process and see how it works. So, and it's very simple. I just linked up my email to the whole Calendarly thing, and then it's like, okay, now it's going to shoot out automatically. I'm like, it's this simple. Like, I'm like, why haven't I done this before? But it's a super process. At the moment, what I'm going to look to move forward with is seeing what other options Calendarly has to offer, because for prospective clients being onboarded, that it's like a great tool. But for my current clients or people that have pre-existing packages, or when they buy packages, then I want to be able to automate the session count, have clients see like how many sessions they have in the funnel moving forward, what's the total duration, and if they have set days that they could block off those days, because I'm not going to be double booking or triple booking or anything like that. Just like, okay, you have a session 10 o'clock, you want this every Tuesday and Thursday, that's going to be booked for the foreseeable future, and that's your time. So I want to see if Calendarly can do that, or if I have to search for another app to kind of integrate with it.
Perfect. So one of the things is there's some automation tools out there. One of them is called Zapier. I believe that's how it's pronounced, Zapier. And usually, I mean, if Calendar, and I believe they are part of their directory, they'll usually promote it out right there. And so what this does is like, it's like a middleware that connects everything to everything through triggers and actions. And so don't get overexcited about it yet. Just work with what Calendarly or whatever tool you have already has. And usually the best integrations are the ones that they promote that's already within their system. The minute you kind of shift outwards, I don't want to use the word it gets dodgy. It's not as well maintained or well connected as it would be on its own. So what I mean by that, just for those who are tuning in, so practically what that means is, for example, I have Zapier connected to my LinkedIn. LinkedIn decides to reset all API connections and I have to go reconnect again. So if I was using a native integration inside LinkedIn, that wouldn't happen. Right? So it's just little things like that where you think they're working in the background, but they're not. They fall apart. And if you don't have the notifications on, it can get disastrous. But nonetheless, I mean, welcome to the world of automation, right? But nonetheless, just work with whatever integrations they've got. Calendar is a well-used tool. They'll have a payment integration and the remaining of the things. And I believe with your next hack, which we won't get into it, I think it's building up the packages. Is that correct? And then redesigning the packages. That's part of your hack number 2, correct?
Yeah, so I switched my 2 and 3 because I think it's gonna just flow a little bit better. So my second hack is gonna be reach oriented, right? So it's kind of developing focus and clarity. So I want to develop a true, more specific target audience or like client avatars in order to market towards, especially with what I got like the super secret hack going on. This is like what I'm thinking about. Yeah. And then after I get a few of those avatars, people that I really want to hit and market towards, then I go into my reach value creation, which is streamlining my services, my programs, my pitches for those target audiences in a way that's scalable and results driven.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, cool. So just for those who are tuning in, so hack number 1 is the automation bit and integration of the experience, which we're talking about today. Next is about targeting and building the personas. And then after that is building the packages that fit into those personas, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so okay, cool. So it's good to know. So anyone who's just following along among all the different episodes, understand the change, which is normal. So these changes are normal. Being flexible is really important. So one thing you mentioned, Richard, is that you started to experiment live. Can you share with the audience what that feels like and what you can tell others? Because I can feel a difference, not just in your energy, but in the way that you have insights, because you just did it live. You just took action, which is what I always advocate. What could you tell people tuning into this? Because this is a really important part.
I'd say any action taken like out of the norm. So this is out of the norm for me. It's a bit nerve-wracking, right? Because even if you're at home on the computer, okay, you're doing something else, just that the fact that it's that the novelty to it, it's just uncomfortable. It gets a bit uncomfortable. So I'm like, okay, but you have to have faith. And I feel like faith is a big part of it. Like I have faith in what you're saying, because you're my mentor, you're my coach at the moment. So you're telling me that this would work and you're giving me all these insights. Okay, why wouldn't I listen to you? You know, why wouldn't I put my faith in what you're saying? So I just go try to do what you say, go to Calendarly. Okay, that's awesome. It looks good. Let me log in and do what I got to do, right? It's the simple things, but being able to execute on it makes all the difference. So I executed on that. I have it up. And then once you get going, you're like, oh, this is fun. You know, I'm able to to kind of get the ball rolling, get the automation going, something I haven't done before. And you kind of show yourself that, oh, hey, you know, like things can be different. What is my ultimate goal with this automation? To free up time on kind of the back end of things so that I could perform at a higher level, 1, and 2, so I could have my clients be more streamlined. And if I could have emails automated to them and it be from me and it be authentic and genuine and just trying to help them out, and it come at scheduled times that I'm not always there trying to type it out. And then if I'm manning the ship in that way, then there's human error comes into play, right? If I have a bunch of clients and then I miss some clients and everything, like it gets sloppy a little bit, I have to apologize here and there. That's not the look that I want to present, you know, for myself and as my brand. So to be able to do this, it's nerve-wracking at first, but then getting over that hump and just taking action and doing it, you become fortified and you become more confident. And that's what I feel at the moment, just moving forward.
And I think you just nailed the secret right there. It's a level of confidence you didn't have before. And that momentum allows you to take more action. And that's what I've seen through so many contenders that take this. It's just that like the most difficult one is taking that first piece of action. Once you've taken it, your confidence builds up and then the momentum starts to kick in and then the results start to move forward. So that's why I just wanted you to kind of highlight that experience, because I think that's amazing. And I'm proud that you've done it. And I'm glad that you're starting with the foundation and building all that stuff up. So to recap, I mean, you're taking on Calendarly. You've tested it on 3-4 clients live. It's given you the confidence level to continue with it. Now you're going to go to the next step to do further integration. And then you're going to backwards integrate as well, because you mentioned that you want to go back and get older clients on. And it's difficult running 2 systems, having your legacy system and your new system. I think you're going to have to find potentially like a intermediate growth hack on how to get clients from, you know, the old system to the new system. Because sometimes when clients are just used to the old way of doing things, it's very difficult to integrate them to the new way. So you'll have to find a unique way to do that. And that's another problem in itself. It's not a big deal. As long as you learn from the new clients you're onboarding, and then bring it back to the old clients and then bring them in. And by the way, one of the biggest failure points I've seen both in small and large and micro businesses is the onboarding. So onboarding is one of these growth hack areas where most people just they don't do it. And if they don't do it, they don't do it well. Or if they do it, if they do it, they don't do it very well. So onboarding is like one of these secrets where if you get it right and the experience is just low friction, really smooth, high value, I mean, it's not just amazing for you as the entrepreneur because you can actually scale the business, but for the client who's saying, this is an amazing experience. I want to continue with this product or service or this individual because they took good care of me. And that care and love that you give and is going to go straight into that experience of onboarding them. So that's brilliant, man. That's brilliant. Okay. So you use the book you were telling me before, right? You're using the structure, right? And so you mentioned to me in the book, exactly. So you mentioned to me like I did some of it, not all. I was like, cool, because that's how the book is supposed to work. It's not supposed to be like from A to Z. It's supposed to be like, here's what I know and here's what I don't know, and then I'm going to figure it out. And then Richard's going to work on kind of mapping out the experience, and that's what the book is for, right? To map out the growth hack and get that experience in there. And I think when you learn about the integrations, there was something I mentioned last time, just as a reminder, that go through their integration directory, like you're window shopping. Like you're not there you're not going in there with a goal. You're going in there just like, hey, what's available? And use that as a trigger to trigger ideas on what integrations you may have not thought about that you can use that are built into their system. I do this all the time. I find things that are hidden that you would just never imagine were possible just because it just happened to be there, but they're not promoting it or telling you, and you're not thinking about it because you don't have the goal. So just do that and let it flow. Let it flow.
Yeah. The integration page was the first thing I checked on when I went on there, just because I was like, all right, let's see what they got. The PayPal integration and all that stuff. So yeah, for sure.
Perfect. Okay, man. So that's hack number 1. Okay. We'll see you in a few days, 3 days, right? For the next hack, right? And we're ready to go. Is there anything else you want to share with anybody about hack number 1?
No, you mentioned this before, I think on our onboarding call, but it's like you go into these hacks and then it's like a flower blooming, and then there's all these other stuff that kind of pops up from there. So and so getting into this right now, it's like, yeah, this awesome. They got this onboarding stuff, but there's more to it. And then you just talking about onboarding and being able to introduce a client experience. That's going to be my 4th hack right there. Cause I'm like, that's perfect. I should definitely be hitting that too. So I'm just going to keep action on my mind, on the forefront of my mind. Just take a little action each day. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but a little action every day, it creates a lot of momentum, like you said. So I'm going to be on it.
Awesome. So one last thing about the onboarding. So you probably noticed with the form that I sent you, I have 2 videos there. So one of the things I've noticed about growth hacking and onboarding is having videos that just let people relax a bit. Like, hey, this is what this is, and this is how it works. And so they get a chance to see you actually, and they hear you, and you're part of the experience. There's also some video technology that allows, I don't remember the name, but we can figure it out later on. But it's a video technology, which is like you speak and you say, hey, if you want to do A, click here. If you want to do B, click here. And then it creates a whole new video. They're all pre-recorded. So you record A and B, and then once they go into B, and then there's like A and B again. And so it's kind of like a branching logic within video. And it's a great way of like really connecting with people. Awesome engagement. I don't remember the name of the tool off the top of my head, and that doesn't really matter at the moment. We'll talk about that later on, but something to keep in the back of your mind. Exactly.
All right. Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome. So for those who are tuning in, just to recap, this is all built on the growth thinking methodology, and this is the 10-day growth hacking challenge. We use 10 days to do 3 growth hacks to 10x your business. You're here with Richard, who is growth hacking wellness and personal performance. And we have a secret growth hack, which we're going to supercharge, but we're not telling you about it now. He's building the foundations of his growth. Thank you for tuning in. See us in the next video for growth hack number 2.
Awesome, guys. Take care.